Okay, well, welcome everyone. My name's Tom Keating. I'm the founder and CEO of Cognitopia, beaming into you today from beautiful Eugene, Oregon, where we're based. So opposite side of the country from you guys. Hope you're done with that cold snap you had there for a while, but uh, and I, I started this company based on my experience in community living and having a sibling with autism who I grew up with, who ended up moving in to live with me out here in Oregon, and getting interested in computers, being an everything kind of a jack of all trades for my brother James when we started doing that. I'm going to date myself here because that was back in the 80s, but so when supported employment was just becoming a thing, when sort of independent living and supported living was sort of evolving, and I was the job coach, I was the skill trainer, I was the caregiver, all the things, and and out of that, and getting interested in computers and how they could help me and help my brother, I ended up applying for a bunch of federal grants, getting some of them funded, and the platform that I'm going to show you today is the result of all of that. Um, there's more information about that on our website, which is not the most awesome website in the world, but it gives you some idea of what we're doing. Uh, and what I'm going to do, this is the first of four uh, sessions that Naomi has asked me to do. Uh, and each time I'm going to explain a different part of the Cognitopia platform. Uh, is there anybody who would like the closed captions turned on for the slides? Be happy to do that. Okay. Hearing nothing, we'll just go ahead here. So, um, our tagline is where self-determination comes to life. And the reason for that is that, in a nutshell, what we're doing is trying to build self-determination by creating user-facing tools for people with cognitive disabilities to engage in the activities and the behaviors that help build self-determination. In our view, we talk a lot about self-determination in our field, and we teach it and we assess it, but there aren't enough actual tools out there that let people behave in the ways that we all use to build self-determination. And hopefully that'll become clearer as I go through my slides here on what that is. So in each of these sessions, I'm going to start with a little overview of the platform, and then we're going to tunnel into one of the tools that we've developed. So important thing to know about Cognitopia is it's web-based, so it's not something you download from the App Store. And by the way, I'm more than happy to share with Naomi all the slides that I'll be using in these sessions, and anybody's welcome to access those. I'll leave that to Naomi to distribute, since she would have contact information for you guys. So it's web-based. You don't download it from the App Store. You just go, you log in, and you use the tools that are there. The goals are independence, but also team coordination, because the way that Cognitopia works is that if an individual has a license, anybody and everybody on that person's team is included in that license. So it could be teachers, it could be parents, it could be case managers, it could be therapists, it could be voc rehab counselors, it could be anybody who's in a position to be on that person's team and help them succeed. So that's what the connection piece is about. It's about making sure people are connected and understanding the connections they have with the people in their network who can help them. There are tools that are built into each aspect of the platform that help people who are doing support be able to do that remotely if they need to. So to have an idea of how someone's progressing, excuse me, through their goals and their daily routines, with not always needing to be there if they don't need to. And I apologize, my throat is a little hoarse, and I might cough here and there because I'm just on the top, the backside of a cold. So if it gets really weird, I'll try to remember to use my mute button. See how it goes. So there's lots of remote support built in, and the idea of lifelong transition is important. So when we got federal funding to develop these tools, the use case was transition age individuals moving from secondary school to adulthood. And that's a really hazardous point of transition in people's lives. Information tends to get lost and not travel with them. Whatever they have been learned, what they know about themselves after 12 or 15 years in school often doesn't effectively make the leap into the world of adult services, and especially not in a way that those individuals can tell their own story in a way that makes sense to them, identify their accommodations, and so on. So we were really specifically focused on that transition, but transition is a hazard all throughout life, right? It can in school, it can be from school year to school year, and changes from elementary school to middle school to high school. And then in the adult world, the rate of turnover among direct support professionals creates all this churn and transition in people's lives. So having a toolkit of some kind, Cognitopia or whatever, that helps you tell your story and manage your world more effectively and give people around you a way to plug into that becomes even more important as life goes on. So I saw this in the chat, and I was going to make an announcement of this, but we have a pretty short window here with the 30-minute session. So I'd ask people to hold their questions until the end. I'll try to leave time for that, but in the meantime, you can also, as the moderator noted, put questions in the chat, and we'll try to get to those too at the end of the session. So there's 3 tools that are part of the platform right now, and there's more on the way, because we see this as a way to have a lot of things in one place that people need. My Life is a digital portfolio that began as a tool for IEP self-direction, and now it can be used for ISPs, for person-centered plans. There's all kinds of ways for people to use this multimedia portfolio to essentially tell their story, whether that story is an IEP, an ISP, person-centered plan, an employment plan, and so on. And I'll show you some examples of that. And this is the application that we're going to focus most on today. Routines is a tool for multimedia task analysis that allows you to really easily create routines and illustrate the performance of the steps of the routine with images, with video, with text, and then to track your progress on that. With Goal Guide, you also get task analysis, but you can schedule goals happen at a certain time. You can get reminders on a phone or a tablet or a computer, and then you take data on your progress, and that data is available to other people on your team. And that's one of the remote support elements that we were talking about. When I say remote support, I'm not referring to remote video contact, which is people often use remote support to refer to that. This is just, having a window into someone else's progress and data. So we're going to start today with My Life and the digital portfolio, and have the variety of ways in which it can be used to help people, effectively articulate important things about themselves and the supports that they're receiving, and communicate that to other people as well. So this is what an IEP or an ISP portfolio looks like in our system. These are all categories that are typically in those documents, but we make it graphic. And when you go into each of these categories, you get to illustrate, for instance, your interests with statements and video and other media if you want. You get to chart your goal progress in there and share that with other people. And you also get to include links to other kinds of websites. So what I'm going to do now is flip over to my browser here. Second. And we're going to look at a version of the portfolio that we were just looking at. So this is a demonstration user named John, and this is his portfolio here. And if we go into his interests category, I was demonstrating to some people from Cleveland recently, and they asked me to create a little post, a piece of information in the portfolio about something that one of the individuals there really liked, and it was the Cleveland Cavaliers. So it's really, really simple, and I'll show you how to do some of this as part of the session today. But you can edit titles, images, and videos. We make it really easy to search Google Images, to search YouTube from within the application, so you never leave, and it makes it easier to use. But you can also add your own content as well. And so there can be fun things, fun interests like that. But then, maybe someone has like an interest like making models. Well, if you're involved in that person's transition or trying to help them find employment, then you'll probably realize that there's like probably 10 transferable skills for employment embedded in the hobby of making models, right? With whether it's attention to detail or ability to concentrate and persevere, fine motor skills, all kinds of things like that. So these are important things to have in a person's portfolio. This is an example of how you can include links to other websites really easily. When you put a URL in, the application automatically turns it into a button. And in this case, it's for ONET interest assessment. I don't know how big that is in New Jersey, but people use it as a really easy, accessible interest assessment tool. And these links all take you to different parts of that to explain more about what the results are that this individual got. Another interest here, someone who likes to eat, likes Philly cheesesteaks. He's interested in restaurant work. And he's got a video in here that shows how to use a commercial dishwasher. So, and you can go on and on. There's lots of stuff in here like that about him. You also get to articulate your strengths in a way that's meaningful to you. So he sees himself as a mechanical thinker. He's got an engine disassembly video in here that he likes to work on. He's communicating that he's familiar with exploded parts diagrams and how those work. Teachers tell him he has a really good memory and he's a problem solver, and so on. So you can go into any of these categories and articulate these elements of your story, but you can also go into goals. And goals can be categorized and subcategorized however you want, but you can illustrate your goal progress. We are going to talk in another session about how to create goals that generate this kind of data. But in this case, the portfolio is just a container for someone to be able to say, hey, I made progress on this social skills goal, or I'm showing you my progress on increasing the number of hours that I can work on the job as a painter's apprentice. There's not a lot of data here in this current picture here, but you can also show that this is a routine that he uses. So I mentioned routines, and we're going to get into that in a subsequent session too, but routines are exactly what I said. You can have images, you can have videos. You look at something like explaining how to load paint on a roller, and that's much easier to do with video modeling than it is with text. And this routine is available anytime the individual needs it in order to accomplish that job. So this becomes so important to have that kind of data and be able to share your accomplishments in your portfolio, because these portfolios are shareable. And you can share them with people that you're connected to on the platform. So that would be all the supporters or family members or people who are connected to you. But you can also copy a link and send it. You can print out a QR code. And so we have users who go to job fairs and they have a portfolio like this, or maybe even more of a tightly focused portfolio on an employment goal. And you can go in here, you say, okay, I want to print out a set of cards that have my picture, my QR code, and the title of my portfolio on it. Then they go to the job fair, do their best to communicate their job aspirations, and then say, hey, take a scan on this code and you can see my portfolio and learn a whole bunch more about me, and it's done in the way that you choose to do it. So there's all kinds of ways that these portfolios can be usefully shared. We have users and families who share them ahead of ISP or IEP meetings to help make sure everybody's on the same page, starting off with a meeting, and to make sure that they're able to put out a strength-based picture of who they are, and in some cases, uh, not have to like repeat again because there's been staff changes and so on. Uh, but this is who I am. So, and especially if you're someone who has difficulty communicating that, either because you're not good verbally, or you you get nervous in meetings like a lot of people do, and so on. So there are all kinds of ways that you can do these portfolios. They can change and grow with you through time. This is an example of someone, this is a guy with has autism and a four-year college degree, and has mad skills both educationally and experientially, but has a really hard time in interviews. So what he did is he created a video and put it in here that explains who he is.
Hello there, my name is Brendan Afork. I am here to give you my introduction to my resume portfolio, and I'm using this as an opportunity to showcase some of my previous accomplishments.
Now, you wouldn't believe it because the guy is so well spoken, but in an interview context, it's very difficult for him to do that. Okay. So, a few things happen. He's got this portfolio, he can use it to practice, to maybe get better in interviewing. But he can also share this directly with a job developer, with an employer, anybody who's in a position to help him. I mentioned that it can be used for person-centered planning. We have path planning facilitators now who can use the portfolio just to guide people through path plannings. I don't know how many people are familiar with path plans or person-centered plans generally, but they're typically like 2 or 3 hour endeavors that happen in person in a room, and people kind of brainstorm all kinds of things about future goals and ideas about their lives. And then that information, hopefully drives, change in an individual's life. And this is just a way to do it either online or with groups, and it can be really effective. These you can use them for employment training. So we're working with CVS Health right now, and they're using these portfolios to train people more effectively on how to be store clerks and pharmacy technician assistants. And it just really, harnesses the power of video to say, hey, here's what we want you to know about. We want you to know about our company, and here's what we want you to know about customer service. So there's the CVS story. Here's a video about customer service. And this last one is about the Abilities and Abundance Program, which is their initiative to do a better job of hiring people with autism and intellectual disabilities. And so on. You can use video modeling in these really effectively to teach, how to help customers, how not to help customers, and so on. All the registered skills are broken down through task analysis. And then people who get training can take the portfolio and make it their own. So this is a woman at a training location in Tennessee who took the register training information, all the things about working in the pharmacy, but then she made her own category of information on preparing for work, to make sure she knew what to do. Now she knows what to do to get ready for work, I think, but having it spelled out in a routine with images that she can look at helps reassure her and make her less anxious about going out into the work environment when she's transitioning from the training center. So these are all things that fulfill that kind of a need. Uh, the portfolio, you're getting, I hope the idea that this is kind of infinitely customizable, because you can take this basic graphic approach and use it for whatever information you want. And this portfolio here, as the one I just showed you, kind of illustrates the two sides of a portfolio. You can use it for training, but then it also becomes the takeaway, the record, the ability to reflect for someone on what they've done, communicate it, carry it forward, right? So this is a pre-employment transition services portfolio, and these are the 5 pre-employment transition services here. Now, and there's overview information, there's details about each of these things. But if we go into something like job exploration, and then there's an explanation of what that is. But one of the things people like to do is do community employment mapping or work experience, try to understand more what it's actually like to do certain jobs. And a student or an individual who's receiving services can take this portfolio and use it to document the things that they've experienced. So what's it like working in a greenhouse? This could be a video or images that you take when you do that, or it could be something, in this case, which is harvested from the internet. And then you use this, what's it like to do that? What's it like to be an auto technician? What's it like to do dog grooming, right? What's a sample routine that you might use as a dog groomer? There's a lot of like doing laundry and sweeping up involved in that, which may be a reality check for people who think they want to be dog groomers, but you get the details of what that is there. So the important thing is that this gives people who are receiving services a way to understand, document, and then communicate what they've done in the future. This is being done with Project Search experiences as well, in the same way. It's like you get these exposures to work experience, then how do you carry that forward in a way that's meaningful to you and that you can communicate to other people, either by talking, by sharing the QR code, and so on. I don't know how many people are, supporting folks in post-secondary education programs, but portfolio is also being used that way as well. This is an example of something called the STAR person-centered planning rubric that's used at a couple of programs that we work with. This one was from University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and they use the portfolio and the goals components of this program in particular to support their students who are in inclusive post-secondary education training programs. So I'm going to really quickly go back to John's portfolio and show you, how easy this is to use. So I'm going to click on the interest category, and I'm going to say, okay, I want to do a new interest, and I'm going to do one that's actually true and happens to be geographically specific. So I like the Jersey Shore. I grew up on the East Coast, and my family used to get together on the shore. So I enter a title, I go here, and you can add images from your camera, from your files, from Google Drive, or it defaults to Google image search. So if I just search for Jersey Shore, I'll probably get the TV program. Well, that's what I figured. So I might have to enter something like, see, is Point Pleasant. Okay, that's a little better. So, I love getting together with my family on the shore. Here's a cool video. And I go down here, and these are all the different kinds of content I can add to my story. Okay. I can add more text, images, video. I can show the routines that I use. I can show a goal in there. I can add audio tracks or create them on the fly. I can upload files. So if I had a paper resume and I wanted to upload that uh, or a copy of my ISP, I could do that. Right now, I'm just going to show you how you can add video really easily. And see, New Jersey beaches. Click that. Okay, so top 5 beaches in the New Jersey shore. And now I've done that. I've created a post and I'm starting to tell my story. And when we train new users on Cognitopia, we always start with interests because everybody's got something that gets them jazzed. And it's a way to say, look, this is a way for you to tell your story, and it's really accessible to a broad range of people to be able to do this with a few points and clicks. And then uh, and then there are all kinds of possibilities for people who, well, students running their own IEP, people leading their ISPs, and really taking more of a stake in those processes. And you know, a lot of times for people, the light bulb about self-advocacy or self-determination doesn't go off until people reach high school or later. And my own belief is that if people were more involved with the processes that control their lives, like the IEP, from very early on, and they had the tools to be more actively involved in those meetings and understand them more effectively, that that would build self-advocacy over time, you know, and you know, get that light bulb to go off a lot sooner. So I'm going to leave it there. There's much more, and I'll say this in each of my sessions that I do for the series here, but you're always, you know, free to contact me at any time to learn more or to, you know, set up a Zoom session. But right now, we can, we'll just take questions. I see one here. Are people's portfolios and My Life password protected? Yes, I mean, you have to log into the platform. And it's a closed system, so the only people who are connected to you are the people you choose to have connected to you. Uh, and that's people who are in a position to support you or friends. None of those people knows your password, although if they support you, they can help reset it if you need that done, but without knowing, you know, what it currently is. So yeah, no, everything's, you know, really securely protected. We use credit card industry standards for data safety. Yeah. Let's see. Other questions? If you don't want to, if you haven't entered anything in the chat and you just want to shout out, you know, feel free to do that as well. We are, you know, people are always interested in pricing information, so I should share that too, and I'll send a sheet to Naomi as well. But there are individual and agency licenses available, and they can be they can be paid for by Medicaid waiver services, self-directed services. If someone's in employment, it can be done through VR. Um, and when it's done through an agency, it's $499 a year for an annual subscription. If an individual is doing it through private pay, it's $299. And then there are agency plans as well, depending on how many people are going to be supported. And like I said, I can send a flyer about all of this out to Naomi, and she can share that with anybody who wants more detail on that. I'll also send a 2-page PDF overview that captures a lot of what I'm going to be saying over the next few weeks. So, any other questions? Okay, if not, then I'll have only run over my 30-minute allotment here very slightly. So do feel free to reach out to me. I will put my uh, email in the chat here. If you Google me in Cognitopia, you'll get me anyway. But yeah, so that's my email, and I hope to see some of you back again next week for we'll talk about routines. Will be next on our list of tools to address. All right, Naomi, I think I'll sign off. Okay, you're muted if you're speaking, but Jesse,
Yes, that should be fine. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Keating.
okay, thanks. We'll see you.
Alrighty, bye-bye.
Bye bye.